Hi, it's Danny Fleming.
And Marcus Collins, back after, how long have we been?
A couple of months, it feels like anyway.
Feels like a long time anyway. Back with, guess what? Some
Another
more masterclasses.
Sellers Masterclass.
That's right.
So, thank you very much. Look, we are live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So if you have any questions throughout this, I will be watching for questions on here, and we will... Hi, it's Danny Fleming. Well, I need
First
to
mistake.
turn...
See, it's been a while since we've done it,
go.
and Danny didn't have a volume turned on the laptop that's
Well,
looking
we're good now. Okay.
We're good now. Okay. There we go.
All right, so let's get going. So this evening we're doing the 5 pillars to maximize sales price. Now, the part of what we're doing at the very beginning is stats of the Arlington market. So let's get going with this. Smart moves are made here. One of the things that we're doing this, why we're doing this, is that buying and selling a home is too important to leave to chance. It's too important to let every decision be guided by emotions and first impressions alone. So this is why we wanted to give you information so that when or if you're thinking about selling, you'll know what sort of questions you need to ask and what's important and what's not. So our agenda this evening is smart decisions. Well, these are part of the 5 keys, 5 pillars of maximizing your sales price. Number 1 is smart decisions, 2 is preparation, 3 is staging, 4 is marketing, 5 is excellence through teamwork, and we thought we'd add on a buying in 2021 as well for folks who might be interested. And part of the questions that people like to ask is, okay, can I sell in 2021? Okay, yes you can. Should you sell it? Should you sell in the best time in 2021? And if you do that, how do I sell in 2021? So we understand that a lot of folks have a lot of questions about how this all plays out. So we thought we'd try and answer as many as we can tonight, and then go into more. So Marcus,
Me, smart decisions. Okay.
You're on.
Find the mouse a minute. There we go. So one thing that we've been thinking that, it's easy to get information and data today, but what's much more difficult is to look at that information and get some in-depth analysis in terms of what it is actually happening in the market. So what we'll do this evening is we'll show you some data. We have clearly all of 2020 to play with right now, so we can get a good sense of what happened in the market, and then our analysis on what we think is going to happen in 2021 based on what we saw in 2020. So that's kind of the key around smart decisions, and we think it's really important. We want to take the time to go through this, not in too much detail, as we'll say in a moment, because we think there's a lot to say right now, and we don't want to
huge amount
to say. We don't want to say too much this evening, but we do really want you to understand the market, because we spent a long time, too long probably in my case, looking at studying the local market. So let's get on with characteristics of the local market. So really, what has been the impact of COVID on 2020, and what will the impact be on 2021? So go for it. No, I know you're going to. Danny's going to jump in. We know. Go for it. It was your idea, so you should take the credit for it.
So one of the things is because this is a masterclass on the 5 pillars of maximizing your sales price, and yet there's so much to talk about with the Arlington real estate market. What's happening? I mean, 2020 was a huge year for the history books, both positively and negatively. We do an Arlington market review, and we're in the phase, we're at the moment pulling together graphs, analysis. We'll be putting out a booklet. It should be hitting mailboxes in Arlington, probably
weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
Late January.
Yeah, by the time we get it printed, late January.
But what we thought we'd do is we'd do a completely separate segment next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. and talk specifically about the Arlington real estate market and go in depth in it. So that's what we're planning on doing.
So this is going to be the I don't know, 30,000 foot executive overview. Let's kind of get a sense of where we are. I split Arlington into single family and condos because, as you'll see as we go through this, there really is a difference between those two markets. So first thing, prices. What happened with prices in 2020 and historically? Here you have a decade's worth of data. As you can see, the median single family home price rose about 6% to $870,000. So that's, as you can see, a substantial rise in comparison to what we saw last year. Last year was somewhat depressed. There was much discussion around a downturn. Actually, it turns out we had one at the early part of 2020. So that move into 19 and then the thoughts going into 20 was it was going to be somewhat depressed. And you can see that the house price increase was somewhat diminished in 2019. But that changed in 2020 with, say, about a 6% rise. In terms of the number of homes that actually sold, about the same. We haven't seen that much variability in the market in Arlington. I think it's fair to say that the market could accommodate more sales if those homes came on the market. Inventory levels in Arlington are very, very low. Most homes that come on the market sell and sell quickly and for over asking, as it turns out. But the market really needs, in order to grow substantially, needs more sellers bringing their home on the market, and we're really not seeing that. And so we've got a relatively flat number of home sales. We've had it really, as you can see there, slight variation, but not very much, plus or minus a few percentage points over the last decade. I thought I'd show a graph which gives you a sense of 2019 versus 2020. And what I did here is I looked at the cumulative sales. Actually, as it turns out, it's the cumulative under agreements. These are homes that were listed in 2019 or 2020. 2019 is the kind of orangey color you see there. 2020 is the blue color. But to get a sense of what happened to the market, and if you look at this, if I kind of try and show it with the mouse, we were parity until really the second half of March. Once the second half of March kicked in, COVID began to have an impact on the market, and therefore the market flattened. The number of home sales and listings and sales, for that matter, flattened. And you can see that until about that kind of mid-May time frame. Then the listings came back on the market, and so they began to rise. But as you can see, it never really got at a number that was higher than we saw in 2019. Hold this thought for condominiums, it's a little bit different there. But as you can see, it lagged behind in that March, April timeframe, and then slowly but surely got up to where we saw it in 2019. So that's kind of the cumulative sales, just to give you a sense of this here, this flattening of the blue curve, which is behind the red curve there, is really the impact of COVID. That's what's kicking in. Now, having said that, Arlington clearly still is a very buoyant market. This is the ratio of the sales price to the original list price. Peaked at about 104, 105% back in 17 and 18. A little bit of a dip in 2019, and then slightly higher in 2020. Still a good number, 102%. That means on average, a home in Arlington will sell for 2% more than it's listed for. So clearly a very buoyant market here in Arlington. As I say, really the constraining factor with the market is really there aren't enough listings, enough sellers in the market, if you will, for the market really to have grown the way we've seen in some other towns over the course of 2020. Now, so I think, if I was to kind of characterize the market for single family, not much impact with the exception of that short-term change in the March-April timeframe overall because of COVID. Not the same with the condominium market. So let's go through the same data for condominium. Still a sizable rise, actually about 9% rise in condominium prices that we saw at 665, I think if I can read that right, 665,000. So a sizable rise. We see some variability always in terms of the number of condos that are listing. It's not uniform, but slightly more came on the market in 2020 than did in 2019. And you can see that much clearer if you look at the cumulative graph. Again, the pinkish color is 2019, the blue is 2020. Almost no impact with COVID in the way we saw it with the single family market. It really tracked. all the way through till about that kind of July, August time frame, thinking of that kind of the fall market. Excuse me. Once we got the fall market, yes, there were clearly listings in 2019, but look at the number of listings that kicked in 2020.
And we saw that happening in reality because we bought a condo on the market, I think it was late July, early August, and every week after that we tracked a lesser demand, because we bought the condos on the market each week after that for about 6 weeks. And it was quite dramatic, the difference from one week to another in the condo market.
So condos were selling, but there were an awful lot coming on the market. And what happened here is COVID began to kick in. If you think about what the new norm, if you will, in terms of what many buyers are looking for, and a buyer is if they own an existing home, are currently sellers. They are looking for more space for working from home, homeschooling the children, and so on. So there was this desire for more space. Condominiums in general are smaller than single family. The other thing, and perhaps this is the more important factor, there was this nervousness with the shared space within a condominium. Single family, clearly a standalone unit, you're in your own little world, if you will. Condominium, not so much. You've got shared area around you. And so those two factors meant that more and more condominiums came on the market, specifically as we went further on in the year, as you can see from this, sometime around that kind of July, August time frame. More condominiums coming on the market. Yes, there was demand for condominiums, albeit the same as last year, if you will, but there was just a lot of them. And so what we found was the sale price to list price ratio depressed was in 2019, similar effect to we saw in single family, but even more depressed in 2020. And most of that, I feel, was in the second half of the year. There was that excess inventory. Condominiums were sitting on the market for a while. They weren't necessarily selling for asking price, perhaps a little bit below. And so you can see there with those diminished sale price to list price ratio, just really an excess of inventory of condominiums that did actually sell, but they didn't necessarily sell with the buoyant market that we've seen in the single family market. So that's what happened in condominiums. That's why I separated single family from condos. You can see the markets were very different. There was still very much a demand for single family that continued. More condominiums coming on the market, and therefore that was somewhat slightly depressed. So what do we see? What's kind of happened overall? Well, similar number of sellers, even with the economic impact of COVID, as well as the uncertainty of COVID itself. So the same number of sellers, not true in other towns, but certainly in Arlington, kind of relatively flat. There were buyers looking to move into Arlington. It's quite interesting, if you've listened to our discussions before, we talk a little bit about the movement of people out of Boston and Cambridge, first-time home buyers, if you will, moving into that Arlington market. That was moving apace. The Arlington market didn't have enough single families to accommodate that. They looked in different towns, and we've seen an increase in sales in a number of different towns. Overall, though, what we've seen is really a shift from 19, where it was a softening market, seller's market, really into a seller's market. And positive price appreciation, say around 6% for single family, 8-9% for condominiums, primarily in the early part of the year in my analysis. And so, as I said there, the condo market really was adversely affected by that shift for, I want my own space, I want a little bit more space, I don't necessarily want shared. So that's kind of what's going on in terms of 2020.
And just to reiterate, we are doing a very glossed overview of what's happening in the Arlington market for this masterclass, but we are doing an in-depth analysis of what happened in the Arlington market for 2020. Next Tuesday at 6:30, we're going to spend a good hour on it, I believe, and really go into depth as to what was happening in 2020 and what the analysis was and all of the different data points that we have.
Because we have more than this. There's lots of
yeah.
graphs. We have lots of graphs. We look at new
Yeah.
construction. We look at the, how the market is shifting. So that's 2020, the kind of summary. But big picture here. There's a lot going on. Clearly, still, even today, last time we gave this presentation, I think was at the same time that actually the election was ongoing. From what I remember, it was at the kind of early November time frame. We didn't know the outcome. Now we clearly do. We can see some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the pandemic. I mean, maybe it's 6 months away. It seems like it probably is. But at least there is that coming in. I think the recession has not quite worked itself out. Looking at the stock market gives you a false impression in terms of the economy in general. We finally got some stimulus. The last time we gave this, we were asking where was the stimulus and so on. So there's a lot that's kind of pushing us towards the back to normal. The question really is, what's that normal going to be?
Yeah.
But overall, the housing market in Arlington fared very well, with perhaps that slight exception in terms of condominiums. That kind of little bit of a shift. So what's happening in 2021? Clearly it's early days and there's a lot going on, a lot happening. But, thinking of some of the big trends that we've seen, there is definitely a move out of the city. If you look at the rental market in Cambridge and Boston and Somerville, very, very depressed. Some of that because the students aren't around, of course, but still there's this movement of people out of the city for a couple of reasons. One, they don't necessarily need to be there because of the commute. The city is to a large extent shut down in terms of itself. So there isn't that desire really to be in the city. People want to be that little bit further out in their own space. We talked about condominiums before. So that's kind of the big shift. The other thing is the commute that we always talk about. When we talk to buyers, we always think about the commute, think about the school system, and think about how much money or what you want to buy for your money.
How much house you can buy for your money.
Right. The commute's becoming slightly less important. Driving around, you can drive around on 95 at 5 o'clock at night and there's no traffic. Working from home, perhaps not 5 days a week, perhaps 3 days a week, and so on. So if anything that's beginning to be kind of diminished in terms of those three, it's going to be the commute. And therefore, we will begin to see people willing to move further out. Arlington clearly not very far, but Lexington, Concord, Acton, as I kind of go out on the Route 2 corridor there. A willingness to move a little bit further away because they don't have to be that commute. So that's kind of the big picture. But people still want a vibrant town centre. Arlington clearly has that. It will very quickly.
I call it a cutesy downtown.
Cutesy.
Cutesy.
Okay, cutesy. Okay.
It's a cutesy
Full of
downtown.
restaurants, which will clearly reopen. Great school system. And this is important when you think about Winchester, Lexington, Concord. It's more affordable than the towns that surround it, and that is even though the homes in general are smaller, the fact that they are now affordable means that there is a big demand for those homes, that affordable homes, if you like. So Arlington still ticks all the boxes. The one kind of caveat I would put in there is for 2021 anyway, would be around condominiums. To what extent will what we saw at the second half of 2020 continue into 2021? And how long will it continue? Clearly they're more affordable, $665 versus $870, so they're more affordable and therefore they're more desirable. But there is that kind of, yes, they're affordable, but I would like my own space. Kind of argument going on, if you will. So that may well continue in the first half of this year as vaccinations kicks in, as the infection rate begins to decline, as vaccinations kick in, so that will become diminished. And so second half of 2021, I think we'll begin to see some more buoyancy in the condo market. Certainly it'll be back within 2022. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot about what's going on. We think, it says early days, it's the 12th today, so that was kind of brave of me. That was brave of me to come out with my 2021 predictions, given that it's only the 12th. But there you go. That's where I see today, and we'll inevitably, as we get further on in the year, we'll go back and go, well, so was he right? Was he actually true when he said that? All right, so.
Before Marcus gets going on, is my home a teardown? It's important to no.
Oh,
I wanted to
Sorry.
go to the next screen.
Oh, okay.
What is important is something that Marcus mentioned in the stats of 2020. There's not enough single family homes around.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough to handle the demand that's there. Unfortunately, we hear a lot, and we like to try and give people the information so that you can make the right decision based on having the information and knowing what's going on, which is why we've thrown in this section is my home a teardown? Because this is an important factor that a larger number of people in Arlington are having to make that decision on. So I'm just setting the stage for you.
Perfect. Actually, I hate to jump back in a PowerPoint, so I won't. But one of the graphs I showed you, if you go back and it's got to rewind a little bit, was the number of single family sales there were. The blue bar is existing homes. The green bar, bright green, is the new construction. And you can see that it's a sizable part of the market. So, is my home a teardown? Is a key question at this point. And so, let's answer that question. When is a home actually a teardown? And it's a teardown when the land value is higher, is worth more than what a home buyer would pay for that home. Now, remembering what Danny said, but also what I mentioned around affordability, Arlington is very popular because of its affordability. The median 870 for single families, 665 for condominiums. That's substantially less than the towns that surround it, Belmont, Lexington and Winchester, for example. So it is very desirable. So there are a lot of home buyers in the market. There just aren't enough homes. And so this equation is really true. It is sometimes, clearly, you have a large plot with a very poor house on it, for example. But in general, home buyers will pay more for a home than a builder will, than the land is worth, and therefore more than a builder will pay. So that equation is very rarely true.
Yep.
What's important to think about is actually who is telling you your home is a teardown. First of all, clearly the builders are telling you your home is a teardown because they need the land to build a home. We'll pay top dollar for a home is something we hear quite often. But the question really is, why would they do that if there is no competition? Clearly, competition drives higher prices. And so if you're talking to one and only one person, in this case a builder or a developer, it's very unlikely that they will give you top dollar for your home. So that's kind of obvious when you get told, I will give you top dollar. What's perhaps less obvious is when an agent comes in and says, I'm not sure this home wouldn't be a teardown. Why don't I introduce you to a builder that I know? You guys work out how much, whether it makes sense for you. You work that out with the builder itself. So I'll kind of take a step back. What's happening behind the scenes here, of course, is that the agent is essentially foregoing the commission on the sale of your home, knowing that the developer is going to list the home with that agent. So there's a little bit behind the scenes on this one, which is why we wanted to call it out, is that when an agent says, I think your home may be a teardown, perhaps what that agent is saying is, actually, I would much prefer this home be sold to the builder that I know because I will get to list the $1.5 or the $1.7 million home as opposed to your $500,000 home. So that's why we wanted to kind of call that out. And so for builders, it's kind of obvious. When agents tell you it's a teardown, perhaps less obvious, but that's what's going on in many cases. So it's worth we wanted to kind of highlight that. So here's an example of was it a teardown? Here's a house, as you can see in the upper corner there, that was a bit of a mess. Perhaps you might look at that and go, yeah, actually I think that probably is a teardown. But let's do some maths and go through the story and do some of the maths behind this. So the maximum a builder would offer for this home was $700,000.
Because we found out afterwards that the seller had approached a number of builders and wasn't happy with the price that they came in with. So, right. We came in and said, we think you can get more money from a home buyer.
Right.
Not knowing that he'd already talked to builders.
Right, indeed.
He told us after.
So in this case, we spent the homeowner spent about $20,000 tidying it up. That's more than we would ordinarily expect, and we would that's a little bit too high. But either way, that's the number that they spent. So we ended up listing it for $839. So already there's a sizable increase over what a home buyer or what the builder would pay. Excuse me. But let's look at the results. When we put it on the market, and you can see the results of that work in the lower photograph there. The result of that was we got 7 offers on the home. It sold for $900,000, and the net increase, therefore, to the homeowner here was over $100,000. So here's a home that you might look at it and go, yeah, I think that home is definitely a teardown, definitely a teardown. Reality is it actually isn't. With a small amount of work, as you can see the results that are there, there was a sizable increase. So even in this case, it was not a teardown.
And I have a typo in there because I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, no. The max builder offer was $770.
Oh, well, there we go.
So in case we wanted to sort of stop here, we know there's a typo. The max builder offer was $770.
So this is just an example. We've seen many examples like this. And so what we thought was it makes sense when a prospective home seller is approached by a builder, so approached by an agent, say, is my home, I think my home is a teardown. What they really need is they need 2 bits of information. They need to know what a buyer would pay for it, and they need to know what the builder will pay for it. Now, once you have those 2 numbers, it's pretty straightforward. If the builder will pay $100,000 more than a buyer will pay, then clearly you're going to sell to the builder. If the opposite is true, which is what it is most of the time, then it makes sense to sell to a buyer. And the reason we put this buyer or builder scheme together is that we were worried that sellers didn't have all the information to be able to make the right call. And so we came up with this buyer or builder. We will give you a market analysis of what your home will sell for, perhaps with a small amount of preparation to get it ready for market. We'll also get some numbers from builders to see what they will pay. Then you've got those 2 bits of information and you can make the call. Does it make sense to sell to a buyer? Does it make sense to sell to a builder? I've got those 2 bits of information. I can take it from there. So that was the rationale and the reason behind this buyer or builder scheme. So there you go.
That's exactly right. Oh, okay.
I can do it all if you want to. No. Okay. I didn't think Danny wanted me to do it all.
What does selling in 2021 look like? Well, look, in 2020, really there were very few open houses. They were happening sometimes with some agents that were doing them. That was pretty well all the marketing that they did, and this was the only way really buyers could get in and see what the home looked like. But you can really lose the buyers by doing them. In fact, we went out last weekend and took some buyers out, and one of the homes said the only way the buyers could get in to see the home was during a 2-hour open house on Saturday and a 2-hour open house on Sunday. But they were limiting viewings of the home, the number of people in the home at any one point in time. So the agent even said in MLS, expect a long wait. Okay. So we drove past, we had buyers in our car, we drove past and there were probably 16 or 17 buyer groups outside waiting to get in. If you just do the math, 20 minutes, a buyer group inside for 20 minutes, those 18 groups waiting to get in, that's what, 360 minutes?
A long time.
Potentially 360 minutes before the last group, when we were there, the last group got in to see the home. Most buyers are not going to wait that long. They're going to leave in disgust after they see how long it's going to take. Once you've lost them, you're not getting them back again. The other time that open houses are very, very dangerous with losing the buyer interest is some open houses, the agent just lets it for a free-for-all. Forget about social distancing. Let everyone in at once. And then what happens is your buyers are so worried about where the other buyers are and how can they avoid the other buyers and stay 6 feet away, they're not paying any attention to the house. In fact, one of the agents in our team took some buyers out a couple of months ago and was in that similar situation. And the buyers, they tried getting upstairs. They were so nervous at what happened. They just said, let's go, let's go, let's go. Once you lose those buyers, you're not getting them back again. So open houses are really, really dangerous at the moment from the perspective, not just from COVID, but from losing the buyer interest in the home. Your serious buyers check out the home online first. They check it out virtually. And then they make private showings. And during those private showings, you have no overlap of buyers. There's one buyer group in there at any one point in time. And there are so many serious buyers around, they will make appointments. They will make private showings with their agent because that's how it's happening at the moment. We bought a home on the market the weekend before Thanksgiving and we had 58 private showings from the coming on the market on the Thursday and reviewing offers at 9 a.m. Tuesday. It happens. We had one home that we bought on in Malden a couple of months before that, and we had 125 private showings in the 4.5 days. The serious buyers will get in with their agents to have a look at the home, and once they're in the home by themselves, they can imagine themselves starting to live in the home. You know, they have a positive visceral feel. There's nobody around them. There's nobody. They're worrying about people waiting to get in behind them. They're not worrying about that. They're not worrying about all the other people milling around the open house. They start enjoying being in the home. No physical feature sheets. That is maybe changing over time. We'll have to monitor that and see. We have found a lot of buyer reluctance in picking up feature sheets. So we do them digitally and have them online as well. But once the buyers start getting more comfortable picking those things up, we'll start doing them again. All of the marketing is virtual. Video, 3D tours, websites, floor plans, all of the information to sell a home should be virtual. With our sellers, we are recommending completing a seller's disclosure, or if you've had an inspection done just prior to coming on the market and the inspection is relatively clean, we advise providing that via MLS so that the buyers can see your home and see what your home is like. And there are pros to doing that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But closings are all virtual. It's become quite a well-oiled machine these days as to doing them virtually. But part of this and why we're doing this is it's critical to know the big questions to ask and to know what's happening and why, and to trust, who's representing you, because what you know or don't know will impact the outcome. Part of, as we were talking before about 5 pillars of maximizing your sales price, smart decisions is one of them. Understanding what's happening with the market, understanding what's going on. Then we've got preparation. Preparation is important because most of today's buyers want move-in ready. They really don't know who to call to paint. They don't know how much it's going to cost. Once had a home that we bought on the market that there was wallpaper up in the living room and the dining room, and it was a fairly subtle wallpaper. We thought that was okay, and a buyer walked in the door and I was just chatting to them and they were looking at the wallpaper and I said, so can I ask you why this is bothering you? You seem to be bothered by it. He said, yeah, no, it's something I'd see in my grandma's house. And I said, it's really, really easy to take down. And he's looking around, living room and dining room. And he's looking around. I said, yeah, this would cost me about $20,000. No, easily, maximum $2,000. And he thought I was trying to sell him the home. So the buyers don't know how much these things will cost, and they will inflate the price way more than it actually is, and they'll discount that off what they're going to offer you for your home. So move-in ready is really, really important. Here's some examples we thought we'd show. Love
the colour.
And this is the home in Malden, actually, that we bought on.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after it had been a long-term rental. Then coming in with paint, yeah, it looks a lot cleaner. But look at the difference that staging makes to it. So I'm going to sort of show you the preparation phase and the staging phase, which is the third part.
So preparation is the painting.
Yep.
The first photo you showed, and then staging. Kind of layers on top of that.
Here's another one. You've got, it looks much better, painted, but again, once it's staged, remember you're trying to get the buyers imagining how they would live in the home. And they can't really imagine how they would live in the home with paint and an empty room. They just can't. But they can when there's furniture in it. Here's a bedroom. We actually did replace the carpets in this room as well. And we put down sheet vinyl because the carpets were in rough shape. But again, look at the difference between the before and the staged. It's a different house.
I have a question around staging, because
Yes.
last year we saw, I'm sure we'll see it this year as well, a lot of so-called virtual staging, where an agent took the photograph, essentially the photograph with nothing in it there, as you said there, shipped it off to somebody to
virtually
stage it.
It's
good, bad,
bad.
I knew the answer. I thought I'd ask anyway.
You were just priming. So why is it bad?
Right,
okay,
right.
great. You've got the buyer's interest. Ooh, look at this house. We need to go and see this. They're so excited. Right? They're so excited. They want to go and see the house. And then they walk into the house and there's no furniture there. Oh, well, this doesn't feel as good anymore.
Now they can't.
They're let down.
They're
and
let
once
down.
you've lost the buyer, the buyers, they're not.
They also, I
we've
guess,
lost them.
you can do so much from the photographs, but when you're actually in the room itself, that's when you get a sense of, okay, now I can see, in 3D as opposed to the 2D of the photograph. Right?
I think that bed there is a king, or it might be a queen, but you can see you've got a huge amount of room around that bed. A lot of buyers don't have a good spatial awareness of a room, and you can have a huge room. I once was helping someone buy new construction, huge big bedroom, and we were about 2 weeks before closing, and she was standing at the doorway and she was really worried, and she had a 4-year-old, and she was saying, I just don't think his furniture is going to fit in here, and twin bed and a dresser and a rocking chair. And I said, but this room's huge. You could get a king bed and 2 side tables and a bureau and a seating area over there and all of this. And she said, no, I don't think you can. A lot of buyers don't have a good spatial awareness, which is why it's so important to have furniture in a room, even if it's a bedroom. So the next one, so preparation, there's no one answer fits all. Every house is different. I go into homes regularly and go and suggest on the highest return on investment projects and suggest things not to do and suggest things to do. I'm not going to suggest something that'll cost $2,000 to do and it'll give you a $2,000 increase in sales price, because that's just busy work. But the highest return on investment projects are important. It's key. Don't do major renovations because unless you're going to be in the home for a minimum of, say, 2 years to enjoy some of the stuff yourself that you're doing, don't do it for the buyers, because you might put in a $50,000 kitchen and you might get a $50,000 increase in sales price, or maybe a little bit more, but it's been a whole heck of turmoil and upheaval of your lives just to do that, just for the buyers to have the benefit. There are other things that you can do to a kitchen to modernize it. And most of it's paint, to be honest. And many high return on investment tasks aren't high dollar activities. Paint is a good one. But our preparation services, it can range from us just providing contractor resources, or we can help you get quotes for work to be done. We can help coordinate the contractors, and we can help oversee the project along with the seller. You know, we can work with how you want it. We can just give you the names and you can organize them, or you can be an interested observer. We actually got that phrase from one of our sellers last year or the year before, and he didn't want to have anything to do with anything that needed to be done in his home. And he said, his phrase was, I want to be an interested observer. You organize it all for me. I'll pay the bills. You organize it. And we did. And he was very happy.
We had that just at the end of last year as well. The homeowner essentially moved out.
Oh, yeah.
And handed it over to us. Said, you take it. I've moved out. I've taken what I need. You organize getting everything else disposed of. You organize the preparation. You do everything. You take it all the way, in fact, to closing. They're talking just about preparation, but essentially, they walked out the door. They handed the keys over to us, and we took it all the rest of the way.
And got competing offers for it too. And that was on Ridge Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Ridge Street. Yep.
So here's an example. A lot of folks don't like wallpaper on the walls. So just taking the wallpaper down and fresh paint is huge. Here's another one with, odd color paint.
Odd color paint? No, pink wallpaper. Pink walls? Okay, pink walls.
And damaged walls. And rough paint, rough carpets. This is one that a lot of people sort of, are you sure? Kitchens. Buyers don't like wood cabinetry. Sorry, they just don't like wood cabinetry anymore, which is a pity because we have wood cabinetry, but we're not selling, so
you
that's
didn't tell me that when we
Yeah, well, that was in when we did it.
Hopefully it'll be in before we sell it, so you never know.
So here's an example of a home. It was on the market for 103 days with another agent, unsold. They got us in and came in and sort of suggested, I think you need to paint your kitchen and paint one of the bathroom cabinets, which was wood as well, and just paint the wood mantle around the fireplace. That's all we did. And here's what the kitchen looked like. Oh, and we actually switched out a couple of appliances.
Right? Yep.
Painted the kitchen cabinets, stainless steel appliances, and we had competing offers for the home. That's the difference. Because what's happening here is, you can see the
bureau is exactly the same spot.
In the same spot.
It was definitely the same house.
Actually, you can tell though we got them to take down the curtains to the drapes. To give a fresh, clean. When a builder is building a home, they're typically putting in white cabinetry. So when a buyer walks in and sees a white cabinetry kitchen, this feels new. It's not new, but it feels new, and this is something that they want. Here's another kitchen. These are oak cabinets, and we came in and asked them to paint, and this is the kitchen exactly how it was here, apart from the mess. And this is just a painted kitchen. Again, the buyers walk in. I would have gotten the painters to paint the light, but I didn't spot it until after they'd left. Buyers didn't notice. We had competing offers for that home. Buyers loved it. And that home was on the steepest driveway you've ever seen. So it had a lot of negatives going for it. But sorry, yes, someone's commented that love that, the interested observer. Yeah, so thank you. So that's the difference that just paint will make. Here's another one. This was on College Ave. It was a kitchen that was a little dated. The flooring was ripped up in some areas. We came in and just painted the kitchen cabinets and put down some new flooring. Again, we had competing offers with that home. So it makes a difference. And paint, and I just need to point out again, paint is one of the least expensive things that you can do.
Highest ROI.
And gives you the highest ROI that we've seen. Absolutely the highest ROI. And it's not just cabinets and walls that you can paint. Here's an example. A lot of homes that we see have the older tiles, the half tiles that are either orange with black trim or green with black trim or those sorts of things. They paint up beautifully. Have a look. This is the same bathroom but with painted tiles and the wallpaper taken down and just some paint above the tiles. Benjamin Moore sell a bonding primer, and that bonding primer is used first on the tiles and then normal paint on top of that. And you see, in this scenario, in the pre-paint situation, you would find that a lot of buyers would walk into the home and think, I've got to renovate the bathroom. I can't live with this. I need to renovate the bathroom. I wonder how much it's going to cost me. And again, where we were saying before, the buyers aren't really certain about how much it's going to cost. They will inflate the price. Whereas they walk into just a freshly painted bathroom and you can see we've got exactly the same fixtures in the room. They don't have to do anything to it. They can live in the home for 2, 3, 4 years and then renovate when they've got time and when it works for them and their family. So it really does minimize the feeling that buyers have to spend a lot of money after they've bought the home. Again, they want move-in ready. Here's an example. You've got the blue tiles around and you've got a laminate cabinet. That same bonding primer, look at that. This is just the bonding primer on the same cabinetry, the same vanity, and paint around the walls. The tiles makes a huge difference. Here's another one. You've got the darker tiles here. This was, I don't remember which home, but the vanity needed some work. But again, with some paint, it's move-in ready. Even though it's an older bathroom still, it's still move-in ready. The buyers feel that they could just move in, unpack their suitcase and their home. Here's another example of one. This has got a funny story behind it. This was a home that had been on the market with another agent for about 6 months, not selling. And I went in and they had a nice kitchen, but it was a wood kitchen. And I suggested that they needed to paint the kitchen cabinets, again, to make their home feel a little bit more modern. And the seller was a little, not resistant, but
skeptical. Yeah,
really skeptical that it would make a difference. Anyway, we got the kitchen painted, and the seller was on the phone with me, and she said, "By the way, I was so impressed with how the kitchen looked. I got the painter to do our master bathroom as well." So this was the master bathroom, the same sort of thing, just putting paint on the tiles. But I thought that was
paint on the cabinets.
That was, yeah. Sorry, did I say paint on the tiles? No,
yep.
paint on the cabinets. Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's not just inside the home that makes a difference. It's outside as well. When you look at this particular home, this was a for sale by owner. Then it was on the market for over a year with another agent. Then it was a for sale by owner again, not selling. It doesn't look very attractive. It's a nice colonial that could be made quite attractive. We didn't do anything inside, maybe painting a bathroom cabinet, but we did some work on the trim outside. So instead of the purpley, plummy color trim, we got those painted white. We painted the garage doors and took out 2 pretty sad looking trees beside the doorway. And look at how it looks. We did that. We got competing offers and sold it for over asking price. It makes a huge difference. Just the presentation of the home, appealing to the buyers that are out there looking. Here's another one where we had lots and lots of older. House was 20 years old, lots and lots of overgrown stuff. The house needed a coat of paint. Came in, coat of paint, took out some of the, look, you can't even tell that there's a side entrance there. There's a side entrance. You couldn't even see it before. And put in fresh new trees. So remember I was saying that the buyers would love to buy new construction. Typically they can't, it's out of a lot of folks' reach. But new shrubbery is indicative of new construction. So when a buyer sees this in a photo or comes and sees it in person, it feels newer to them. So it's all a psychological trigger, which is an important one.
The other thing about those trees, it would have made the inside of the house really dark.
Incredibly so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like having the curtains closed most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Now we're getting on to staging. So again, you're back to when you've got those buyers. Remember we were saying that virtual staging, sure, it can get the buyers to go and see the home, but when they walk in the home, it's, because there's no furniture in there. It's so important to wow them when they walk in the door. A positive visceral reaction when they walk in the door and they sort of walk in and they think, I could live here. And they start imagining their life here, they're going to pay more money for the home. So it's really, really important. Now, so what do we do from a staging perspective? We have our own staging team. We have our own staging truck.
We will have ours, not truck, this one.
No, that one died at the end of 2020. God, 2020, what a year. But we have a new one on order and it's coming.
Hopefully this month, failing that early next month.
Okay. So
soon.
It's coming.
Brand new truck. I decided I was done with the old one, but it did as well.
It did good. We had it for a couple of years.
Just the engine blew up on us, but it's another story. We won't go into that right now.
So staging. So here's some snippets of information of key metrics. So 83% of buyers agents said a staged home helped buyers visualize the property as a future home, according to NAR. It's important. What we were talking about, imagining themselves living in the home. 25% of buyers agents said potential buyers increased their offer between 1 and 5% on a staged home. So you'll have to do the math for me. If we've got $1 million home and 5%, that's $50,000.
Right, 5%.
They'll increase their price
up to
$50,000, up to $50,000 more than they would have, just because it's staged. That's huge.
Actually, it's even more now. In Arlington, it would be slightly less than some of the other towns around here, but it would be even more in terms of the median sale price.
So, an 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. So these are metrics that are quite important that really specify how important staging is. Because as we said, it creates an emotional response from the buyer. So other agents charge for the service, or the seller pays for the staging company directly. We include it as part of our services. There's no additional fee for it. It's the same. Our fees are identical to any other agent out there. We just include these as part of the services because it gets a higher price for our sellers, and our sellers talk to their friends and colleagues and neighbors and things. It gets the higher price for our sellers. That's the important part. We do a virtual consultation at the moment, and only because our staging coordinator is severely asthmatic, so just from a perspective of her health and safety, we'll come in and we take photos or video or something like that with the seller's permission. And then we ask our staging coordinator to come up with a staging plan, and then the staging coordinator goes backwards and forwards with the seller about, what are you thinking of removing, are you thinking about throwing anything out, or, you're downsizing into a smaller home. Maybe you can't take all of your furniture. So she tries to get an idea of what your plans are and then comes up with a plan around it. because most people are still living in their home when the home comes on the market. So we work around your furniture. Depersonalizing and decluttering is important. Again, it's performed by our in-house professional staging team. Forget about our own truck. We need to take that out. But no, it's there. It will be there. In a couple of weeks' time, it'll be there.
I'm working on it. Work in progress. But almost there.
And our staging furniture and accessories, it's based on what you need. Each house is different. We have about 16 housefuls worth of furniture, and we have what we need for every home.
And we have expanded this year so that we have even more space for staging.
Yes, we have.
We didn't really have enough room for 16. Now we definitely have enough room for 16 houses.
And in 2021, while COVID is still such a challenge for all of us, we just ask that the sellers not be home when we're in there staging your home. We just ask that. And then here's some examples. So here's an example of a home that was unsold, 206 days on the market with another agent, and here it is staged. And we had competing offers for the home. Here's another one, a living room. Doesn't really feel exciting as a living room, and then with some furniture in it, it feels more exciting. Here's one that often homes have undefined spaces. And we don't like undefined spaces for buyers because buyers don't know what to do with an undefined space. This actually was the dining room in the home. Now, buyers may not have walked in and thought, oh, this is the dining room. They did now. With furniture in the home, they understood it was the dining room. Then here's one, a living room. This was a vacant home and staged. Here's another one, staged. This was new construction. New construction still needs furniture, even though it's appealing to a buyer because it's new construction. This was a home that was built on the Studio McGee design style, and the builder was quite insistent that it was done on the Studio McGee design style, and so we staged it in the Studio McGee design style. Again, we've got 16 housefuls of furniture. We can come up with any type of furniture that meets a house's need. So that's there. This is another example of the home that was the FSBO. They're staging through the period of time that it was. I had a coffee table underneath the lamp.
Stop people walking into the lamp.
Yeah, but it was pretty tall. I don't know that
I'm sure that was the case. Sometimes you do that in a dining room.
Yeah. But anyway, this was that one. This is more important. This is the same home. Remember I was saying buyers find it very difficult to visualize what spaces would look like or could be used for. This was the living room in front of the home. This in front of the house. Here was the dining room. You can see the dining room light fixture. The buyers would have walked through here and thought, what's this room? What do I use this room for? I don't understand what I'd use this room for. So you define the space. So what we did is we staged the front room as a living room. We staged the middle room as a dining room. And then we staged this back room here as a pre or post dinner drinks room. So it really created definition in the house as to how the buyers could use it. It's absolutely key. Again, we've got to have the buyers feel like they can walk in the home, roll in that suitcase and unpack, and they're home. They don't need to do anything else. So, Marcus, you're on.
That was it? Okay,
yeah,
now the fun stuff. Now having done all of that work, the preparation and the staging, clearly you need to market the home. And we find in many cases the marketing really does let the home down. I'll go through and explain why that's the case now. Because it really does matter. It really is the key to selling your house and getting it on the market for the highest price. And there's a direct correlation between how many views of the digital assets, digital media that we have, and the final sale price. You know, it's key. Your showcase on the world is the digital pieces to this. The photographs, the 3D tour, the video, that's your showcase on the world. Having done all the work around the preparation as well as the staging, don't let it down with some iPhone photos. That's absolutely key.
And that happens all the time.
That's the key.
Yep.
Yes. Would you like?
Yeah,
Should we do that?
You didn't talk about the metrics though. You didn't talk about the metrics.
I did, didn't I? Well, you talk about it and I'll bring it on.
So while he's getting that ready, because we've been doing this a while, we know the metrics that are important that will tell us, are we going to get offers on the Tuesday? Have we priced right? Those sorts of things. When we first come on the market, we expect to see, if we see 40 plus views of the 3D tour on the first 2 days that the home's on the market, then that typically tightly correlates with about 20 plus private showings of the home in the 4 days that it's on the market. When we get 20 plus private showings of the home in those 4 days, we typically see 2 or more offers on the home. So we really do have it very, it's a statistical, we've been doing it week after week after week, and those metrics work. Right. Those metrics tell us exactly what's going on.
So,
how do we know how many private showings we've got?
There you go. So the answer to that one is about the middle of last year, we rolled out a listing dashboard, which is allows you, the home seller, home buyer as well as it turns out, but in this case, the home seller, exactly what's going on in the market. And so what I thought we would do is actually show you what it looked like. So this is the app that we have, our app. And one portion of this, which is really important, is the dashboard. This allows a homeowner to look at exactly what's happening in the market. So,
and as a homeowner, you can only see your home. Marcus has got 2 homes on this, but typically a homeowner can only see one home, which is
the home they're buying and the home they're selling.
If there is a buying dashboard, well. Yes.
So let me give you a quick overview of one of these homes. This is a home that's currently on the market. We start off, of course, with the preparation phase. All of the key dates, all of the notes about what's going on, that's all visible at this point. So that's kind of starts it off. But when we get it on the market, then the statistics kick in, because we track every time somebody looks at the 3D tour, the video, the website that goes along with it. So this is
plot plan, the brochure.
Yep, all of those components. And as Danny was saying, that's really important, because once you begin to see some activity on the home and those private showings follow directly afterwards, that's a great correlation in terms of the number of offers you can anticipate.
And this is real-time information. A seller can go on there. I once had a seller on James Street, in Arlington. He called me on the Saturday morning and he was sort of saying, we're not getting enough showings, are we? Not getting enough viewings of the 3D tour. Oh, what should we be doing? Should we be dropping the price? And I said, no, let's wait. We didn't get offers on the Tuesday. We did adjust the price immediately then, and all of a sudden we got a whole lot more views of the 3D tour, and he called me again and said, yeah, this is happening. And we got competing offers the following weekend and actually sold it for the same price that it came on the week before. You know, that's what competing offers gets you.
There you go.
Yeah.
So this is, as I said, we have this listing dashboard for our sellers. We have a buying dashboard. Looks very similar in terms of the key dates and so on. So we rolled that out in 2020. We're doing some major upgrades here now in 2021, hopefully this month. But that's available. It really gives you a sense of, say, a real-time view in terms of what's happening with your listing. And we think it really is important because, as we said before, information is so very, very important. So let's get back to the PowerPoint and talk about marketing. So what are the different components that we focus on when we do marketing? Clearly photographs, videos, 3D tours. There's a whole range of different pieces that we put out there. Key thing then, of course, is taking that information and getting it out in front of prospective buyers. Two strategies there. One is broad, one is very narrow. Broad in terms of social media. The other one is narrow in terms of email marketing. So those are the different components. But let's give you a sense of quite what we do by showing it to you. So photography. Good photography sells. Photography sells homes. Good photography. Bad photography, entirely the opposite. Here you have a somewhat modern home, more contemporary, and a very an old home built around 1890. There we go.
1890.
Because we often get sellers asking the question, I live in an old home, is it going to sell? But as you can see here, it really does photograph beautifully. Often there's some rich colors there, photographs beautifully. But this is your showcase on the world. This is the first thing that a prospective buyer will see when they go on Zillow or Redfin or Trulia or whatever portal they use. This is the first thing they're going to see. So this has to be right. And if you don't think good photograph sells, take a look at these two photographs. This is actually the same kitchen. Not our listing, we should add that in.
Yeah, not
our listing. But as you can see, the one on the left, it's been staged. Potentially there's been some preparation. So some work has been done to get that home ready for market, but the photography's let it down. It looks quite small, it's not spacious at all. And when somebody's looking at that, they're just going to get that impression that, oh, this is quite a small kitchen. And potentially then they will say, you know what, let's not bother with that one. I would prefer to go to the next one. The other photograph is the same kitchen, just photographed professionally. And as you can see, now it's spacious. The lighting's better, but it looks much more spacious. We have example after example of poor photography. I mean, here's an example. Poor photography on the left. Actually, our photography on the right here. This one's out of focus from what I remember.
Yep.
You can see it. You can just about see it there.
The blurriness
shaking
of it.
a little bit.
Yeah. And the next one, same sort of thing.
Same idea. Oh.
I'm doing clicking for you.
Okay, my wife wants me. Daddy wants me to make it go faster. I got it.
But look at the blurriness and things like this. And this is one of ours. I mean, it's just dramatically different. Look at this. I mean, a buyer looking at that is not going to.
No, they're just not going to look at it and go, that's the home that I want to see. And that's clearly the effect that you want. You want people to look at the photographs on whatever portal they use and go, that's the home I want to go see this weekend. That's what you want them to do, but that clearly not what they're doing.
And their photos on the left of one of the top 10 agents that works in Lexington.
Enough. Video. That's kind of number two, very much the way people view things today. And we do a variety of different videos, tailored to specific platforms, specific uses. We might do with the standard a video of walking around the home. I'll give some examples in a moment. Top 5 reasons you love this home.
And there's 114 Ridge Street, Corinne's listing.
I can show the video of that. I can find that in a minute.
Find that one and show Corinne's.
So the idea here is to create video that works on different platforms. And the one where, the sneak peek is where we put a GoPro on our dog's back and we send him around the home. Now that's cute, but it works beautifully on social media to get interaction on social media. The one there, virtual open house, as Danny mentioned, open houses themselves are very much a turn off. Just literally on the Saturday when we went out, line of people around the corner from this home. They're just not interested in doing that. A virtual open house is a mechanism by which the agent can talk them around the home. We live stream it. The listing agent walks around the home talking about
and opening closet doors, and open kitchen cabinets.
I'm talking too slowly.
Oh, okay.
No,
Keep going. Yep.
Don't
forget we go into the unfinished basement.
We do. We go everywhere. It's as
up.
if you were there. But unlike a marketing piece which just highlights the the key features of the home. This is really, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to look at everything. All aspects of the home, and so that's really, really important. So we create video for all sorts of different uses. But what I thought I would do is kind of bring all that together. So having got all of that, we need to bring it all together into a single place where people can view it. In our case, it's a website, unsurprisingly. This was a home we listed at the end of last year. 177palmer.com was the web address, and we put everything we have around the home on this. So why don't I kind of go through this and show you the key different components. This is your one-stop shop for everything about the home. In this case, what it's sold for, but ordinarily what it's listed for, beds, baths, and then we put a mix of information about the home and then narrative. So here's all the information about the home, and we want the prospective buyer to be able to read the narrative, imagine themselves in that home, and then kind of fill in the blanks visually with a set of photographs. And there are multiple photographs in each of these sets. So we talk the prospective buyer as we imagine they would walk through the home. In this case, from the living room through to the dining room, and then probably into the kitchen, and so on. So that's the idea behind this section of the website. There's the third floor. There's the outside. One other thing which we find very, very important is the 3D tour. Let me fire this one up, and I'll talk through it as I show it to you. The video, the photographs, even the website is all really, we're the director in this. We envisage how you will walk through the home. Now, you clearly may not wish to do that. You might want to go upstairs, downstairs, basement, wherever it is. And the 3D tour allows you as a prospective home buyer to spend as long as you want in this home, whenever you want. And it's as if you're in the home. Let me put it in full screen mode. There we go. So here we are in the kitchen area. I can walk through to the dining room, and through into the family room there. So you can kind of walk around and look at all, what does the lighting look like, all aspects of the home. It's almost as if you are in the home. And we found this particularly useful because today, even in the past and in the future, you get a limited amount of time as a prospective buyer within the home. You may only get 10 or 15 minutes today, as there are tight time frames. What this tool allows the prospective buyer to do is go and look through the home as many times as they want and at whatever time. So if they're worried about, well, I don't really remember, we saw 3 houses on Saturday, I don't really remember what the third floor looks like again, this is the tool. You can go to look at whatever floors you want, you can go whatever you want. So to show you can go upstairs. Here we go. Up into the bedroom level and so on. So you can go wherever you want. It also gives you a floor plan. Here's the second floor of this room. Let me go to the first floor. There's probably more to it. So it's a floor plan of the home with the furniture in it. We do the schematic floor plans too. Those are there. But this is a floor plan, if you like, with that furniture in it. So people, prospective buyers, can imagine where they would put their furniture within the home. I don't know if this one will look any good, but we'll see. Let me turn all the floors on. This is Danny's favorite, I think.
The dollhouse view.
The dollhouse view, because it allows you to see what's over or under what. Where's there room to expansion? Where's the bathroom? Often when you look at a home, you'll find the bathroom and think, as you can see here, the bathrooms are on top of each other. If there wasn't a bathroom on the second floor here, perhaps that's the obvious place to put one because you're sharing the plumbing. You can see all of that with this kind of dollhouse view. It allows you to see the 3D layout of that home as you begin to play what ifs, if you like, in terms of what you do or don't want to do. As well as that, we have the video you see here. Why don't I fire up the virtual open, at least a part of the virtual open house. I don't know what you said.
Sure, I don't know what I said in it.
It's okay, you can talk. So you see, we live stream it. I'm in the office, actually my office upstairs. In this case, Danny is at the home. But more importantly, if I can jump forward, if it will do this for me, come on. No, well, will it?
You just have to keep on talking.
There we go. It caught up with me. Danny's giving this narrative as well as she talks through the home, explaining all aspects of it. So that's to quickly show you the virtual open house there. We also do, of course.
Oh, you should go down. Hang on. Look at that. What's at the bottom? The selling essentials.
Tell us all about it. By the way, that was by design.
It wasn't. So I've been recording. Look, we get frequently asked questions from sellers all the time about all aspects of the selling process. Going from generally, how does this all work, to preparation, to on the market, to under agreement, going through to closing. So I've started doing a whole lot of selling essentials videos, snippets. So what you can see there, don't go off there because I
was going to show them if you want. No, go for it. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't trust me?
So these selling essentials videos, and I'm adding, I added 10 today. There's a whole heap on there, and I've probably got another 100 or so topics that I want to do. But here's where you go to it. You go to the video library, and then you select on selling essentials, everything you need to know when selling your home. There's 4 different sections. So click on general. And this is sort of like a frequently asked question section. There's when's the best time to sell in order of priority.
I haven't looked at these. I should have a look at these, shouldn't I?
How do competing offers work? How often does a home sell for over the asking price? Who determines the price? I got a letter in my mailbox saying an agent has a buyer for my home. Should I call? Anyway, as you scroll down, there's more and more pop up. Lots and lots of different topics.
You've been really busy.
Yeah, I have, and that's just one season. There's more seasons.
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
So hopefully you'll find everything that you have wondered about, on the market. Different topics that you've wondered about. It's in there, and there's more being added each day. So
there you go.
Yeah, hang on. He's trying to take the mouse off. No. What's this one? Preparing for sale. Yeah, lots in there.
Not
anyway,
as many in that one.
No, it's not as many in that one.
But watch this space. So we digressed for a second away from video. Not really away from video. We also do the standard video that comes for a home, where we kind of walk you through the home as well. Key, high number of views on this as people want to see more than just the photographs. Although in my opinion, the 3D tour really is much better than the video itself. That says our view of it, but still many people anticipate to see it that way. So there's the video we produce. As Danny mentioned before, we don't print a brochure, but we still create a brochure. And here's the brochure, same for this same home. On this, we've got this narrative information about the home, the schematic floor plan that I mentioned before, some photographs on the home, and then information about what's going on with the Arlington market. This was at the end of the year, so you can see this isn't quite the full year. Statistics, and then where is the home in relation to the Arlington Centre, in this case the school systems and so on. So lots of information about the home on that brochure. So we tend not to print them now. That will probably change as 2021 progresses.
We monitor it each week.
Right.
Monitor it
but
each week.
It's always available on the website too for somebody to download or print or whatever they want to do. And then we finish it off with, where's the home in relation to the school systems, to kind of situate that home. Where is the home in relation to public transport? Perhaps not as important today, but moving forward, clearly much more important. Commuter rail, bus lines into Alewife and so on.
When we get back to normal.
When we get back to normal.
That would be awesome.
So that's all there. That's really important. as a single place whereby you keep all of this information together. So that's key for the marketing. So if I go back to the PowerPoint, there's the website. You say that's really important. Now, having created all of this content, how do we get it out in front of a prospective buyer? Two mechanisms we found to be very, very effective. The first one is a broad approach, whereby we spread information about the home very broadly. You can see some examples here, just listed, open houses. We also push out the virtual open house. This is where we are spreading it wide to people who have looked like they're home buyers within the area. So that's the first approach, spread it wide. Now, having done that, the next approach is really to target people who have come to, for example, an open house at the early part of 2020, people who have engaged with us on our website. Anybody who's touched us, expressed an interest in the Arlington market, perhaps even at this price point, we will send out some targeted emails to them so that we can, hey, you are interested in this home, you will
most likely be interested
in this home. So those are those two approaches that we have, where we have, on the one hand, the broad push to the market, and then a very targeted email campaign. None of these work, of course, unless you've got the great visuals. Because if I jump back 1 second, every time somebody clicks on this, guess what? They end up going to the website. So you've got to have all of these pieces in place. Once you've got them all in place, then you can begin to push it out, for example, here on social media. So it's important to have all of that in place, and then you can start the marketing from there. All right.
Okay.
All yours.
All right.
Danny.
The number 5 pillar or key of maximizing your sales price is excellence through teamwork. What do we mean? What do we mean by this? So we have specialists working on every component of bringing your home on the market. Our marketing coordinator, he's awesome at marketing. He does it better than we do. So he's the specialist doing that. Our listing coordinator, she's a specialist in writing verbiage about a home. I can do it. You can do it. We can all do it, but she does it so much better than us. So we have our specialist, the staging coordinator. Sure, I can stage homes. Corinne can stage homes. Wenjen can stage homes. We can all stage homes. But our staging team do it so much better than we do. So teamwork and having specialists do each component is so important. And we like to characterize it that our client, the seller, is at the center of our universe. Center of our universe. We all are working with our client to make their experience an awesome one, and one that they'll talk about and never forget, because it's been a great experience. We want a relationship for life with our clients. And our goal is to sell your home for the most amount of money, the least amount of time, with zero hassle or stress. That's a really positive experience for someone, if that, and that's our goal, to do that. What are our core values? That's important too. Integrity and ethical behavior. Number one. Education and not selling, which is why we do these masterclasses, is to try and get the information out to people so that you know what's important and know what you should be expecting when you go to sell your home. If you're not getting these sorts of things from a listing agent you're interviewing the wrong listing agents, to be honest. An exceptional customer service, having the team to do it, and having us all working together to make your experience a good one, which is why we actually came up with the listing dashboard. Getting the communication, giving you as much information as we can. But when it comes down to it, you want to talk about, you want to use a professional and not Aunt Mary. You do. you want someone that does it day in and day out and knows how to get you the highest price. There is a term in the industry called a 3Ps agent, and you don't want a 3Ps agent. A 3Ps agent is someone who puts a sign out front, puts it in MLS, and then prays. That's the sum total of the marketing they do. That's all they know how to do. You don't want a 3Ps agent, which is what Aunt Mary is. But it's not just us saying this. The National Association of Realtors commissioned an independent study. So last year, maybe it was the year before. And their remit to this independent organization was, what are the biggest threats to the real estate industry? The number one threat to the real estate industry was masses of marginal agents destroy reputation. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical, and/or incompetent agents. This knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. That's not us saying that. That's an independent organization commissioned to find out what the biggest challenges to the industry are. And look, to be honest, unfortunately, we see it every day, and we see the impact to sellers every day and to buyers as well. So who are we? Here are the agents in our team. We have Rachel, Andrew, Yuki, Corinne, and Wenjen. And they are all awesome agents. Absolutely. We're just a big family. Well, it feels like a big family.
Mm-hmm. Not that big a family. That's the whole beauty of it, though, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole beauty of it.
And everyone is collaborative. We're all in it together, and we all have the same values and the same behavior and the same desire to do right by our clients. So I think that's the number one thing. We absolutely want to do the right thing by our clients, and that's the one of the core founding principle.
Okay.
And now over to you again.
For a quick synopsis of buying in 2021, the when and the how, if you like. That's many sellers are also buyers, of course. They just sell a home before they buy the.
Sorry, he hates it when I interrupt him,
No.
but that's okay. That's okay. We're married, so I'm allowed to interrupt him. We should also mention in here that we have a buyer's masterclass coming up next week Thursday, I believe. You'll find it on our website. Next Thursday, and Corinne of our team, she lives in Arlington, awesome agent, knows her stuff, she's extremely good. She and Marcus will be doing a buyer's masterclass, and they'll be going into detail of this whole section. We're just going to gloss over it at the moment, but join Corinne and Marcus, not me, I'm having the night off, for that buyer's masterclass. Keep going now. Now okay. You can go.
Now I can go. So first thing we should think about, the when and the how is seeing a home. It's not quite business as usual, and I guess realistically I'm talking about the first half of this year, 2021 really. Masks are required. Most homes do not have open houses. Danny mentioned the challenges of open houses. We saw it writ large this weekend.
And we even took photos.
We did, because it was like, really? There's a lot of people outside that home. So in terms of seeing the home, the right way to do it is to do private showings. I mean, that's key. Open houses, just not the way they were probably since March last year, so almost 12 months. I'm going to say in the second half of this year, second half of 2021, before buyers feel comfortable, we don't have to go through the COVID protocols and so on. There's just that little bit of a comfort factor going into an open house. You need to remember that the open houses we held at the beginning of last year, we might have had in the space of a 2-hour open house 100, 120 groups through there. We're a long way from that situation. And realistically, to get that many people through our home, over the course now of a weekend, not really 2 hours, the only real way to do it is through private showings. And what we found is that we can get that volume of buyers through because it's clear that that volume of buyers are around. The only way to get that volume of buyers through a home is to go through private showings. So that's key. Digital media is critical to reduce that risk. I showed you the 3D tour. Buyers really need to get comfortable looking at all of those assets, making that kind of deciding if this is the home they want. You are going to get limited amount of time within the home. Many many listing agents don't allow overlapping appointments, for example. We've had situations that were a little bit scary where there's a lot more people in the home than buyers felt comfortable. So private showings very much the way to go. But I think if anything, just be a little flexible. Who knows what might happen, as it were. But if you follow our advice, follow the private showings route, we will get you in to see a home. That we can definitely do. In terms of inspections, at the end of last year, it was beginning to loosen up. Inspectors, middle of last year, were reluctant to go around with buyers as the year progressed, so they were much more comfortable allowing buyers in. But again, it's not quite the way it was. In many cases, it was just here's the report. The inspector would go through, they would give you the report, and I felt that missed a lot. Because as you go around with an inspector around a home, they point out all kinds of things, just in passing, really. We will get back to that, I think, sooner than we will in terms of the open houses. So inspections, kind of a work in progress. But now, as we kind of get back into the spring 2021 market, inspections will become very much the way they were before. So, which I think is key, because it is very important that you get the kind of nuance of the inspections. Financing, what we did find is that at the end of last year, appraisals were sometimes drive-by. Because they were drive-by, the appraiser didn't see the home, potentially didn't talk to the listing agent either. There was the potential, and actually there was the reality of lower appraisals. We also saw slower loan processing times. We'll see how that plays out. So we're early in the year. We're not seeing that many homes on the market right now. Hopefully we will get back to where we were previously, where it moved quickly. But we were definitely seeing the situation where processing times for loans was delayed, which often meant that the closing was delayed. So I'm hoping that we had 12 months of this now. They've got used to it. Some of that was also, I think, that there were a lot more buyers in the market. It was that everybody was working from home, was working out the protocols and so on, but there were a lot more home sales, to say, not necessarily in Arlington, constrained somewhat by the amount of inventory. But in many towns, we've seen a sizable, upwards of a 25% increase in the number of home sales. That means 25% increase in the number of mortgages. And that was where some of those slower processing times came from, just because of the sheer volume of people who were buying, as well as number of people who were looking to refi, because I was just looking at the mortgage interest rates just the other day for the market review. They are dramatically lower than they were even in 2019 and 18. So they are very, very low, and that's allowing a lot of sellers to refinance as well. So a lot more buyers in the market, a lot more refining. That was kind of upsetting the financing market. So we'll see how that plays out in 2021.
And go to the next one. I spoke out of turn.
You did.
I spoke out of turn.
I knew that slide was coming.
I spoke out of turn. But what I spoke out of turn
I had no idea
is I said the masterclass, the buyer's masterclass, was possibly not this Thursday, but the Thursday after. And it's not. It's not, because that's Corinne's birthday. She couldn't do it that night. It is, and I pulled up my calendar while Marcus was talking.
26th.
It's Tuesday, the 26th of January at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
So join
26th.
them. Not the Thursday, it's the Tuesday. You can sign up on our website anyway. But yes, keep on
I
going.
knew that, by the way. I didn't want to interrupt you,
Sorry,
but I knew that.
if you're
That's
watching.
right. It's not next Thursday, because Corinne will be busy, I imagine, next Thursday. So.
It's her birthday, so if you see her.
Wish her happy birthday. There we go. So, and the rationale behind everything we do, and the reason we go through this masterclass really is because we think that every client, be there a buyer client or a selling client, every client really deserves to be the smartest person at the closing table. That's really, really important. That's kind of the nub of everything that we do.
Yep.
Is to make sure that when you're going through this process, there are no surprises. Everything works like exactly as you would imagine it to.
And that we all benefit by becoming smarter about home buying and selling.
That's true.
mean, we all benefit when that happens. So on that note, thank you. You can say it.
No, you can say it. You can say it.
On that note, thank you. Look, we love having you join us, and thank you for joining us. And if you've got any questions, you see, this is the challenge. I have to say, we've been doing these sellers masterclasses for a few years, but previously they were all in person. We knew whether we were answering people's questions, whether they had anything else that they wanted to ask, whether you were even there joining us. With these online ones,
yeah, we lose that.
We don't know.
We lose
We
that
don't
kind of
know.
interaction. But
so contact us if you want to talk about
Any
anything,
questions?
because we'll talk about anything. Anyway, we're rambling now.
Right.
I'm rambling now.
We are.
Bye.
Bye.